Well, since you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Yo, what's up, everybody? It is Tia and Danny back with another episode of Unfinished Business. I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day out in Dallas. What's going on, D?
What's good? How we feeling?
I feel good, you know. I was telling you a little bit earlier, last night was a bit rough. It was a little rough.
Right.
But I'm good. I'm here now, refreshed, because that'd be the main thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm ready to talk about. I think we got some good topics to talk about today.
Yeah, I think so too.
Super excited about that. But this is what I'm going to start off with. Last episode, we made predictions as to who was going to win the NBA Finals. And
I don't know why I forgot that we were even going to bring that up.
I mean, look, I don't want to toot my own horn, but but we made our predictions.
We did.
You predicted the Suns.
I did.
Suns in 6. I predicted the Bucks. I won. We probably should have put some money on that.
But, yeah.
But what I will say, right, it was a good series.
Yeah.
It was kind of everything that I expected. And, you know, I want to start off by saying this, though. I think we owe Giannis Antetokounmpo an apology. Last episode, we said that he didn't really have a bag. And I think you might have mentioned it, and I agreed. And I was like, yeah, he doesn't. You know, he just drives hard and things like that. But I'm going to admit I was a little bit wrong because he showed me some things in that series that I was like, okay, he do got a little bit of a bag.
Yeah.
It's just not completely empty. And he really stepped up to the occasion, especially in Game 6, with the way that he was playing. And so it's just like Giannis definitely impressed me. Like, I knew he was great. I thought he was a superstar. But he really, I think, showed the world, you know, just the upside that he has.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm also going to apologize on our behalf for the slight disrespect of Giannis. I mean, no disrespect ever, of course. I mean, he's great, but this man dropped a 50 ball in the championship, what ended up being the championship game, and averaged 37 throughout the whole series. So, I mean, what else is there to be said other than that's great. That is one of the greats, and that's just kind of period, I think. And of course, he had help. You know, Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday really stepped up as well, especially later in the series. But, yeah, Giannis, I mean, of course, playing through that knee injury that he suffered against the Hawks in that series and then coming out like he did versus the Suns, I mean, I have nothing bad to say. I love CP3, and I wanted that ring for him so badly, but it's just not his time. I don't know if it'll ever be his time now. I mean, who's to say whether he'll get back to the finals or not, maybe.
Right.
You know, but happy for Giannis, happy for the Bucks, happy for Tia and her prediction. But, yeah, nothing but respect for Giannis in that 50 ball because that was crazy. He really put on a show and really –
down the stretch, too.
Yeah.
Where it was like he was wanting the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
He was demanding it, and he was coming through, and it wasn't just layups and dunks.
And I think that's what kind of sets players apart because some players really do shrink in those moments of like even though you're a great player, it's just like that pressure can be a lot. We talked about Ben Simmons, how he played in that series and shooting the ball 5-7 times a game. You're a great all-star player like that. That's not enough. And so Giannis really rising to the occasion. He showed everybody why he's a 2-time MVP, why they
Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, his resume at 26, 25.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's done. He could retire tomorrow and literally be good. So all respect goes to Giannis for sure in the Bucks. But I do want to say that the Suns, I am slightly disappointed just because I feel like I watched most of the first half and some of the second half of that game, and I feel like you can really feel when a team is playing harder than the other team, especially as a hooper. You can just see it. Like you can see when they're flying around and getting loose balls. They're grabbing offensive boards. Like the other team wants it more than the other team, but the Bucks wanted it more than the Suns. It was very obvious to me, at least in that like first half stretch of like, y'all are playing in the finals. Like offensive rebounds, loose balls, like those have to be like a battle, a fight, and it wasn't that, at least in the first half from what I saw. So I even said, like, I watched the first half of that game. I said, oh, the Bucks got it. Like, I knew even when the Suns tied it up, took their little lead, I was like, the Bucks are going to pull it out because they were playing harder, and I feel like they wanted it more than the Suns. So,
yeah. And, you know, I think that the Suns played hard. I do think that they played hard. But I think what I was getting more of was that the writing on the wall. They were starting to see the writing on the wall in the sense that when the Bucks took Game 5 at Phoenix, that stunned them.
Yeah, it did.
Because now, and we kind of said it, you know, beforehand, right? You can't ride this home court advantage wave because it's a 7-game series. So at some point, someone is going to have to beat the team that has a home court advantage, that has more games at home. And so the Bucks knew they needed that. Yeah. And so the Suns had the upper hand, right? So that if it did go to 7 games, they would have played 4 games at Phoenix and 3 at the Bucks. But when the Bucks took Game 5, it kind of turned the whole series, especially because when you're looking at the Bucks fans, first of all, you know, they have their fans in the gym. I think it was like 17,000 that filled the stands. And then they had thousands outside still. And I don't know if they even filled it all the way. Maybe it was like some COVID restrictions or things like that. But they had even more outside. You know what I mean? They call it the Deer District and things like that. And so I went to Marquette my freshman year. So I'm very, very familiar with that atmosphere. In Milwaukee, Marquette doesn't have a football team. So it's all about basketball. So you have the Marquette men's basketball team, women's basketball team, and then you have the Bucks. So that's literally all that they have. And then they have the Brewers too, which is the baseball team, but it's very much a basketball city. And so when you talk about home court advantage, the Bucks definitely had that. They took Game 5, and I think the Suns were just kind of stunned in a sense. And when you get to Game 6 and you see they kind of reached their stride, to be honest, you know what I mean? And they're like, dang, they took one from us. Now they're coming from behind. Now this team, you know, Giannis is playing out of his mind. Chris Middleton was playing out of his mind. Drew Holiday playing amazing. You know, you got all those guys. Pat Connaughton was shooting the ball fairly well. Brooke Lopez was doing exactly what he needed to do.
Billy Porter.
Yes, Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis. What did I call? What did I say? Billy Porter.
No, it's okay. No, but Bobby Portis was huge. In that series, coming off the bench. He, you know, some teams have it, right? Where as far as like that tough guy mentality, some teams have it. And the best team I can think of is the Clippers, right? They just come off like that. They have Patrick Beverly, and they just don't take any mess. And some teams don't really have that. And I think without Bobby Portis, the Bucks don't have that. They're just a team that plays the game the right way. They're not into the extracurriculars and things like that. Like, they don't care what you have to say. They're just going to play the game. But Bobby Portis brought that to them, kind of like that tough guy mentality. He was scoring, you know, that last game, he scored in double digits off the bench. And then he's defending, he's rebounding, he's diving after loose balls, going for blocks, all types of stuff. And then even the play where Chris Paul was going to yell at the ref, and he, like, stopped them. I don't even think that people realize, you know, how important that is to a team and how it could kind of change the atmosphere of that game when you have someone like that you know is going to kind of like fight for you regardless. So I think the Suns just saw the writing on the wall. But the main thing, and it goes back to what you said was going to be the key for Phoenix. Do you remember our last episode, what player you said was going to be the key?
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton.
And when I tell you, I feel like he shit the bed. He shit the bed. And there were so many plays where I was like go up strong, you know what I mean? And it's like, I hate even like having to say that, like, directed towards an NBA player, because, like, obviously, but there were so many little chippy layups that he just missed because he was just like, like, exactly. Like, and I was like, ooh, as a post player, I'm like, like, ooh, that was, I'm telling you, and I absolutely agree with you. Like, that kind of goes along with Alonzo, what I was saying, as far as like just playing tough, playing hard. I feel like he kind of shrunk in that game, in Game 6. I think throughout the entire series, throughout the entire playoffs, DeAndre Ayton stepped up, especially for a young player. Does he still have a way to go to reach his peak, his prime, of course, definitely. But I do think he shrunk a little bit in Game 6. But, I mean, Giannis scored a 50 ball, so I guess, you know,
Right.
He shrunk and Giannis grew, and that's how that went.
Exactly. And, you know, I would probably say, and I don't want to say worse because he played decently, but this series was his worst series the whole playoffs. And we talked about this, right? You said that he was going to be the key, and I said, you know, as a rebuttal to that, it's going to be up to what Giannis decides to do. Yeah. If he's going to show him, hey, who is the veteran here? I'm the veteran. And Giannis definitely did that. I don't think that DeAndre Ayton played poorly. I just think he, like, throughout the series, he maybe hadn't had that level of aggression, like having to defend that. You know, he had Anthony Davis, so that's different, right? Because Anthony Davis is amazing, but Anthony Davis is not going to just drop his shoulder and get down in the post and fight with you every single play. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Davis is going to spread the floor. So sometimes he'll bang down there with you in the post, but then there's other times where you will get a break. Like your chest, your breath will get a break because he'll bring it out onto the perimeter. Whereas Giannis is literally just shoulder in the chest pretty much every single play. Yeah. He's just such an aggressive player. And so DeAndre Ayton did kind of shrink a little bit, but I think it was really just a learning lesson. We talked about that too. Yeah. You know, he was able to get this experience early on in his career because now he's going to know the level that it takes to win because Giannis really just out-aggressed him, if that's even a word. Yeah. You know what I mean? DeAndre Ayton couldn't guard him whatsoever.
And that's a tall task, right? Like guarding Giannis. And we even said that, like, stopping a player like Giannis isn't going to happen. Right. Containing a player like Giannis, you can contain Giannis, which sounds crazy, to a 30 ball, and that's like, you know? Right. But letting him, Giannis going off for 50, I wouldn't even say that DeAndre Ayton led him. Like, Giannis went and took that.
He willed it, yeah.
So, I definitely think that, like we said, it's a learning experience. I'm sure he'll be on the protein in the weight room in this offseason, which
gonna have to.
Yeah, definitely.
You saw how big Giannis got from when they showed the side-by-side infographic of how he was when he first came into the league to how he looks now.
Transformation.
That's nuts. Yeah. So DeAndre Ayton could definitely do that. But I guess as a post player, right, I'm going to ask you this question. How do you think you contain a player like Giannis, considering his game?
I think you make him do what he doesn't want to do as a defender. Like, I think you force him to play more of that stretch five ball, because that's not Giannis. Giannis will shoot the three, and he will stay on the perimeter and pass, but, like, Giannis wants to be on the inside of the paint, which a lot of post players don't want to do in the game today. You look at Jokic, you look at Embiid, they'll do both, but they're more so stretch fives. Right. Giannis is not a stretch five to me. And so DeAndre Ayton, or just in general, anybody guarding Giannis, I feel like if I'm guarding a player who I know wants to get to the bucket, wants to get to the rim, wants to draw a foul, I'm sagging, or I'm clogging the paint as an entire team, not even just one player, but as a whole team, really clogging that paint so that he has no other choice but to work on the outside where he's not as strong. Like we said, he doesn't necessarily have a bag where he's going to hit, mix you up and pull up for a jump shot. That's not his strong suit. Giannis doesn't have a great jump shot. It's decent. He's an NBA player, but that's not what he's good at. Giannis is good downhill, full head of speed, getting to the bucket. I could not imagine Giannis coming at me full speed, though. I'll tell you that right now. So I'm not mad at DeAndre Ayton at all. And I absolutely, like you said, I think he knows exactly what he needs to work on in the offseason because...
Yeah, he going to have to get this strengthened. Yeah. I don't know if you saw, but he was trying to guard him with his shoulder. I don't know if it was because, that man's chest was caving in. Yeah.
Look... You gotta have some pecs, and like just looking at DeAndre, he might have like a little bit, but like that's probably more of a bird chest, and that hurts.
Exactly, and he, Brook Lopez, he takes things to the chest. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, as a post player, like he's Yeah. But DeAndre Ayton was like turning his body because it's like he couldn't stand Giannis's shoulder continually going into his chest like that. So that was another thing, right? So that comes from strength. That comes from you going to have to get in the gym and bench press a lot because you have to be able to stay squared up. And he was getting in foul trouble because of that, too, because his body was kind of like turned. Yeah. But I do agree with you that is kind of how you guard Giannis. I don't think that it's a one-man task. I will say that.
Exactly, right.
But it's like, well, how many can you truly send? Because then you have people like Pat Connaughton and Chris Middleton that are spotting up
exactly.
ready to shoot.
Exactly.
So there's no really real way to guard Giannis. You're just hoping that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you have a more aggressive post player, it makes it a little bit easier. Yeah. So Blake Griffin, and he still went off in the Clippers series, but I definitely think Blake Griffin did a good job, and that just comes from Blake Griffin being stronger than DeAndre Ayton.
Definitely.
But you know, we said it to say shout out to the Bucks. It was an amazing series. I enjoyed watching it. I think people stepped up to the plate. Shout out to Devin Booker too. You know, some of the shots that he was just kind of making was just very elite.
Very,
very elite. And you know, do I think? And I'll let you answer this question too. Do I think the Suns will make it back to the finals next year? I don't. And I don't think that because, and this is just my prediction, the Suns have a great team, but I would say that this run that they had was pretty unprecedented.
Definitely.
No one kind of expected it. Everyone, without a doubt, thought the Suns had a great team, but if you would have asked me at the beginning of last season who's going to be in the finals, the Suns probably would have been one of the last ones on my list when you're talking about the Western Conference. So next year, although I do think they have a great team, there were injuries that kind of hindered a lot of people, right? A lot of different teams. I'm hoping next year, the next NBA season, we're going to have full capacity all throughout the year.
Right.
And that may play a part into some of the standings that end up, but I don't think that the Suns will make it that far next year.
I agree. And I want to touch on Devin Booker's performance throughout this last series because he was playing phenomenally. Mm-hmm. And I will say that same with DeAndre Ayton. Devin Booker is still a young player.
Yep.
Still has room to grow. And I saw a clip on Twitter and it just made perfect sense to me. And I don't know if you ever saw it. It was one of the open runs that they have, mm-hmm. you know, with the NBA players. And Devin Booker drew a double team. And
he, okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and he, you know, I'm not going to say crying, but he, you know, was like, oh, we're not double teaming an open gym. We're not doing that. That's a part of the game.
It is.
And truth be told, if you're being double teamed, you're obviously doing something right. Mm-hmm. You're obviously giving them a bucket to where they feel like they have to send a double team. Play through that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And regardless of what it is.
I have been double teamed so much in my triple team.
Yeah.
Because it's just you instantly sag on that player who you know it's going up or who you know is gonna score the ball. So you have to play through that. I'm not finna sit here and cry, oh, they're double teaming me.
Yep.
Well, I gotta try to get my other teammates involved, or I gotta make a great pass because somebody's open. And I say that to say in Game 5, when Drew Holiday came and ripped that ball from him, it was a double team. Mm-hmm. And I think that is just so poetic in saying that, that clip of him crying in open gym about, we're not about to double team.
That's crazy. That's a good anecdote.
Yeah, and it's if you play through that, I would want that, like I said, because that's a part of the game. So if you're getting double teamed in open gym and you're able to play through that, you might have been able to play through that last mm-hmm. play in Game 5
or expected it because you didn't even know.
Exactly, and it's I don't know. You can't write it, right? So I think Devin Booker still has room to grow. But I was definitely impressed with his performance. I mean, he was putting up 40 balls the entire mm-hmm. playoffs, and especially in this last series. But I do want to ask you about good old CP3 mm-hmm. and how you feel about his performance in this last finals.
In the last game, or just in the entire series?
Yeah.
He didn't have that moment that he had in the last series where he was just kind of unstoppable.
Yeah.
CP3 is always going to be solid. He's one of the best point guards of not only our generation, but probably in the NBA.
Ever, for sure.
But he played good, but he needed to be better. That's the way that I'll say it.
Yeah.
When you're talking finals,
he didn't look hungry enough to me.
Yeah, you got to go to that upper echelon almost. Like, this is the last finals, regardless of whether I have nagging injuries, how I feel about the referees, Scott Foster, things like that. You almost have to go like 0 dark 30 and just like lose yourself. And like, you should be going for 40, 50 points a game if that's what your team needs.
Yes.
He didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And I think him and Devin Booker were almost looking at each other sometimes like, okay, is it going to be you? Is it going to be me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think as CP3, if you're the leader of that team and you're the veteran, it shouldn't be a back and forth to see who's going to do it. You just need to go and do that.
Yeah.
So he played good. He needed to be better.
I agree. And I think about like the LeBron like chase down block, and that's what I like think of as far as like NBA Finals, just like hungriness, like just like wanting that. Bron wanted that championship for Cleveland so bad, and he went and got it, and it was like, I don't know, but I mean, like regardless of the injuries and the refs and all of the things that are working against you, he went and got that in the last series versus the Clippers. Like that last game was phenomenal, and like you said, I just feel like he didn't really have that moment of like, oh, he wants this bad. Like he
showed spurts. But
like you said, he's always solid. Chris Paul's always gonna do what he does, but he didn't. I think there was another notch that he just like didn't tap into in this series that we've seen even in the past series of this playoffs. Like it just wasn't enough. But do you think that he'll make it back to another NBA Finals?
Not if he's with the Suns. No. I mean that's the short answer. If he's with the Suns, no. I think the Suns will compete every year, and they could even possibly make it to the Western Conference Finals, depending on what side they're on. If they face another team like the Lakers, and the Lakers are healthy, and considering the early exit that they had this past playoffs, they're going to be making changes.
Right.
And you're already starting to hear, and I guess we can kind of segue into that, some of the rumors of the potential moves that the Lakers could be making.
Right.
But, just to answer the question with CP3, if he gets traded to the Lakers, I can see that.
Yeah.
But if he stays with the Suns and they keep the same exact team, I don't think. I think this was his maybe final chance of winning an NBA championship.
And I think that's why I wanted it for him so bad this year, because like Giannis and the Bucks, I feel like could win another year because they're a very strong team coming out of the East. But the Suns, I feel like this was their year to win. This was Chris Paul's ring to go get, and they just did it. And so, still have all the respect in the world for CP3. I even hope that he does move around, maybe to the Mavericks, maybe to LA. I don't know, but I hope that he can get there somehow, some way. But like you said, segueing into a lot of the rumors and predictions as far as people moving around in the offseason, trade talks, the draft coming up, of course, people adding pieces everywhere. I think that the two that I've seen the most recently was Bradley Beal, which he hadn't like officially requested a trade. It was just a rumor. But if Bradley Beal was to request a trade, where would you like to see him go?
That's tough. What are they saying he may go to? Like, give me options that they're saying he may go to. Have you heard anything?
I don't think I saw any options, but I could really see him going to a team that not like the Wizards, who somewhat struggle in the.
He's gonna need someone else.
Exactly. Like
I will say that.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to go to a team that already has a star.
Luka. Yeah. I don't know if him and Luka will play well together. I mean, they're Luka's technically a point guard, but I mean, he does it all.
But Brad Beal's off the ball a lot.
Yeah.
So I guess I can't name a team, but I'll say he'll need to go somewhere with a superstar.
Yeah.
Already. I thought him and Russell Westbrook played well.
Agreed.
Were they the perfect match? Maybe not. And I'm going to say I think Brad Beal needs two. I think Brad Beal needs a team, not players.
I agree. Because I do think he's a high caliber player in the NBA right now, but I don't think he's a Kyrie Irving, where a Kyrie could like more so put a team on his back. And I'm not saying that Beal can't, but I do think like he needs
players. He needs pieces. He literally needs a team, and he needs like a system and things like that, because he's a great player. But in Washington, it could have been bad coaching. They were just doing a lot of one-on-one where it's like, all right, everybody clear out. All right, Beal, do your thing. Everyone doesn't like to do that all the time. Like, some people like getting buckets and things like that, but after a while, you're just like, dude, like, I got to come in every game, and you going to ISO me 10, 15 plays a game, and you want me to make something happen, which he normally does. But at the same point in time, I don't think that he's just that player that wants to be the number one guy.
I agree.
I don't get that
from him. He doesn't even play like that. Like, he doesn't. Right. Yeah, I agree.
I don't get that from him. So he's just going to have to go somewhere where they have a system and they play as a team, and it's not so much as, okay, go do your thing, which you're still going to have a little bit of that because it's the NBA.
Right. This is kind of like a random prediction, but I could almost see that maybe like the Spurs, because just like you said, playing in a system, playing with a team. And when I say the Spurs literally don't really have a superstar other than DeRozan. And speaking of DeRozan, there have been talks of him going to the Lakers. So
with Kyle Lowry, I saw that.
Yeah.
Or trying to.
Right. And so this is just like complete theory, rumor, talks, like nothing official. But if DeMar DeRozan was to go to the Lakers, and obviously like that they make that work. I don't think they get DeRozan and Beal. Like, I don't think that happens. Maybe, but like DeRozan, Beal, AD, and LeBron, that's a lot. But I could see DeRozan going to LA, and then maybe Beal going to a team like the Spurs, adding another piece like, I'm not sure who else is kind of up for like trade, things like that, or even the Spurs drafting a really good player. But also Dame, who hasn't officially requested a trade and even said that he expects to be in a Portland jersey next year. I think he just has to say that type of stuff. But I could see him wanting to leave Portland as well.
Why?
Because I just feel like when players put like a certain amount of time in with an organization and it doesn't work, they kind of are like ready to move around. And I saw talks of him, Celtics, and I think it was Jason Tatum like commented.
That would be a good duo to see.
Yeah, it would.
Dame and Tatum is a more exciting duo than Kemba and Tatum, and I love Kemba.
I love Kemba too. I definitely do. So just a lot, that'll happen within the next couple of months with the NBA, and it's the off season. So like that's all we have. All NBA fans, basketball fans have to do right now is just speculate and talk.
Exactly.
Especially with football season coming up, and if you're not a huge football girl, which like I kind of am, not like really like I like football, but yeah, it's like that's all we have to do right now is speculate and chat. So I guess we'll see what'll happen there. And then even with the coverage of the finals in the NBA, we had a little drama, a little tiff there with Maria Taylor and Rachel Nichols, which...
So I'll stop you there, right? For the people that don't know who Maria Taylor is and things like that, because right, we watch these sports guys, but there are people in the background that kind of make these things go round. So who is Maria Taylor?
Let me tell y'all, because Maria Taylor, first of all, played basketball and volleyball at the University of Georgia.
Wow, I didn't know that.
She did.
Okay.
Started covering sports at the University of Georgia. Began at ESPN 7 years ago, so she's been with ESPN for 7 years. That's a long time to be with a company. And it wasn't until, I will say, I specifically remember Maria covering our selection show that we had my freshman year. Specifically remember that, and I remember like being like, I've never seen her before, and that's kind of where she like got her start, was with the women's basketball NCAA tournament. And she was phenomenal and was so good at her job that she then started doing College Game Day, was so good at her job at College Game Day that she started doing NBA Game Time, was so good at her job with that she started hosting the playoffs, the finals, NBA Countdown, which is huge, with Jalen Rose, and was then so good at her job that she just attracted haters, because that happens, when you're just doing so good at something, people are going to hate, and that's fine. And so she had a colleague in Rachel Nichols who, I will say, before this incident, I don't want to say a fan of Rachel Nichols, but I did respect her work because she was solid. She was a very, very, very solid host. Even though she had those kind of like hiccupy like moments and questions, I specifically remember when, I don't know if you remember this, when the Mavericks kind of had their like scandal of workplace. Of workplace allegations against, women and feeling like they were being discriminated against and things like that. And I remember her interviewing Mark Cuban. I just remember watching that segment and just like not really liking her line of questioning, just because it was like, I don't know, just as like a journalist myself, I didn't understand it and I didn't like it. And that was kind of like the only thing I will say that throughout me watching Rachel Nichols, I was like, I didn't really like that. But after all this came out, of course, they had a magnifying glass on her, right? And so there were people saying that she asked Kobe about his rape case after like one of his championships, and asked D Rose I don't even remember, it was like a really bad question, and just overall they were just like pretty much bashing her, which happens right after things like this happen. And so what happened with her and Maria Taylor was she was on a phone call with, I don't know if it was a colleague or someone that worked at ESPN, that ended up being an op, which an op in a good way. But they exposed her pretty much saying that Maria Taylor was a diversity hire. And if they felt like they needed to fulfill some diversity commitment, that they needed to figure out a way to do it that did not affect her. And she felt like them hiring Maria Taylor affected her because that was her job. Now, you just heard me say, clearly I feel very strongly about this. Right. You just heard me say how good Maria Taylor was at her job and how many levels she achieved in such a short time because she was so good at her job. Yep. That literally does not happen, especially in this industry where reporters, broadcasters climb that many ranks so quickly. That does not happen.
Especially across different sports.
Oh my gosh. Like the way that she so seamlessly covers football, covers women's basketball, covers NFL football, covers NCAA basketball, college football, everything. Like I could not imagine. I don't even want to know what her notes look like. Like I do not want to know, because I'm sure they're so chaotic and just so all over the place, because like that's how precise she is and that's how great she is at her job. And so I think it just like infuriated me so much, because it's like, Rachel Nichols, you already are in an industry that let's not say discriminates against women anymore, because like it was that was a thing at one point. Yeah. I don't think that's really as much of a thing as it used to be. So
then it was, okay, we'll have women, but only white women looked a certain way.
Exactly. And so now that things are changing, I don't know if you know who Christine Williamson is. She's the bald one that hosts SportsCenter. You have a bald black woman with tattoos wearing overalls and sneakers on SportsCenter.
Right.
Like the game is changing. And so it's just like, for you to make that statement that Maria Taylor was a diversity hire, Maria Taylor is better than Rachel Nichols at her job. Simply put, like it's obvious. And to me, and again, Rachel Nichols has earned her stripes in the game, but I will say, I don't know if you know this, she is Diane Sawyer's niece.
Interesting.
Diane Sawyer, who is the face of all of journalist broadcast television. So it's like you know what I mean? Like it's right. Like those connections, those levels that we talk about, that Maria Taylor put the work in and climbed herself. Rachel Nichols, I don't know if you put that same type of work in that Maria Taylor did. I don't know if that you got it out the mud like Maria Taylor did. So, and even if you didn't, you just needed to shut your mouth. Like you needed to sit there.
Be happy for someone else's success, because from my understanding, she was like the lead woman on most things.
Exactly.
Up to that point.
Exactly.
And then the moment you don't get your way, or you just feel some type of way because that's what you've been used to getting, you throw a tantrum.
Yeah.
And then you throw out the word diversity hire to someone that's like
the code
worked her ass off.
I mean, the code. You want to talk about somebody who admire from top to bottom? I mean, from the hair to the fits to the questions that she asked these coaches. Think about her moment with Nick Saban a few years ago. Mm-hmm. She asked him such a good question that he got so infuriated and like retaliated at her, and it was like, and she handled it with class. Every moment that she's had to deal with, and there's been a lot. There was a reporter, I forget who his name was, that made a comment about her outfit, saying she was dressed like a WWE. Don't laugh, because you gonna make me laugh. But she said that she was dressed like a WWE wrestler, and it's just like,
bruh.
Just those types of comments that you have to endure and deal with. That like I said, she's had to deal with it since she started making this rise to the top. 7 years is a long time. Yeah. It is. So overall, I have very strong feelings about it. Like I said, as you can obviously tell, I am a huge fan of Maria Taylor. I cannot wait for the day I get to shake that woman's hand and just tell her about herself. Like, ma'am, you got it. But
so if you're hearing this, Maria Taylor, hit your girl up.
Look. So yeah, that's just overall. I just feel like Rachel Nichols was bottom line a hater. That's how I feel. You was hating, and you got exposed. You didn't know you were gonna get exposed, and that's what happened. And hats off to ESPN for replacing her with Malika Andrews, who also another young black reporter, 24 years old. Just, I mean.
Right.
Flawlessly covered the finals, flawlessly covered the post-game celebration.
Yep.
I mean, just phenomenal. So she didn't even know she was doing that, opening that door for Malika, but she did. And Malika had already, obviously been in that role, and she was more so in the role of like a Woj as far as like NBA insider. She hadn't really done as much on-camera things, and she had never been a sideline reporter in that capacity in the NBA Finals. So that being her first NBA Finals, her being a rookie to the finals and covering it the way she did, I mean, just beautiful. And then black excellence, black women taking over the game, making these other women mad. I almost said something. But I love it, and I love to see it, and I want to know what you think about it.
So I agree with everything that you just said, right? One comment that I want to touch on, because you explained it already, right, is hats off to ESPN. I don't want to really let ESPN off the hook all the way on that, because when I was doing my research on the thing, right, the way that it happened, I think this happened going back to maybe the bubble or something like that, when, they weren't doing their usual reporting from where they usually would be. I think it was like a central location, and it was being recorded from there. And so I guess she was just on a phone call with some other guy, but it was still being recorded. Those recordings automatically get sent to like an ESPN server back to the headquarters. And it was one of the video production people or something like that. She heard it. So she recorded it off her cell phone. She was a black woman. They didn't release her name. And she sent it personally to Maria Taylor. So.
See, I didn't even know all that. That's
She sent it to Maria Taylor. I just want to let you know.
Your colleague is a hater.
Exactly. So, I don't want to let ESPN off the hook. So it got sent to the ESPN servers. She sent it to Maria Taylor. That's how Maria Taylor found out.
Right.
Obviously, she's like, wow, this is unacceptable, things like that. It got to the point where Rachel Nichols, it wasn't just the comments that she made, but she was so upset and took it to whomever that they're like, well, okay, Rachel Nichols is our top person, so if she's not happy, then we're just not going to have anybody do the reporting or something like that. Like, I forget all of the details. They're like, well, if she's going to be unhappy with it, then we're probably just not going to have anyone do it.
Right.
So until they had a meeting, like a team meeting, and, people like Jalen Rose, Woj stepped up, and they're like, no, that's completely unacceptable. So you're telling me that just because she can't do it, no one can do it?
Right.
And that's kind of like what happened. There's actually a picture that people kind of timestamped where Maria Taylor posted and was like, you know, these people are ride or die. And it was like Jalen Rose, Woj, and I forget what the other guy's name is, the ball guy.
The one that played at Duke?
Yeah. And so that was around that same time. So they kind of like stood up for her and was like, you know, if you're going to do that, then we're not doing this. And kind of gave ESPN their demands to, ESPN was just like, well, okay, would we rather have Rachel Nichols happy, but we lose all these other guys,
right?
And they don't want to fulfill their duties anymore because of the way we handle it, or are we just gonna be like, Rachel, suck it up?
Shout out Maria, to them though, because that's real.
Exactly. Maria, this is your gig. Go out and kill it.
Right.
And that's what they decided to go with. But what it took behind the scenes were people, not only just black people of ESPN, but allies like Woj, who's huge for the company, being like, whoa, we're not going to do that. You're not going to take this opportunity of a lifetime for Maria Taylor and her career, huge stepping stone, and you're going to take that away from her just because some lady is pissed off about it because she feels that it's a diversity hire.
Exactly.
So very big shout out to them. And that's the type of things that we say that when we come together, right, as one, regardless of whether you're brown, purple, you know, black, white, doesn't matter, regardless of your nationality, things like that, we're much better.
Right.
And so that's kind of like the things that went on behind the scenes. So that's why I don't want to give ESPN too much credit, because the fact that they even brought it to the table like, well, okay, you know, Rachel's not happy, so we're actually going to, you know, table it, instead of just being like, Rachel, don't come to me with this.
Right.
She deserved it. Here's her accolades to show that she deserved it. She's just the better person for this job.
Right.
Because in a sense, they enable her to even think that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they got it right at the end of the day, but I think their hand was a little bit forced.
Yeah.
But in general, though, I just think in life, we really need to worry about ourselves.
Bottom line.
You know, we need to worry about ourselves. Everything is not a competition. Like, yes, okay, that's the industry. It's very competitive.
Very.
But if you worry about yourself, if you're competing with yourself and your competition is the last milestone you set, you will always be happy for everyone else.
Yeah.
Because you're on your own timeline. And then at the end of the day, you know, you have this girl who's kind of running up the ranks. And I feel like it's inspiring to see. I feel like more so you should be, as someone that was working there a little bit longer, you should be, hey, you know, I want to take you under my wing because I see the things that you're trying to do, things like that. That's what I'm on, as opposed to, oh, I'm going to be jealous because she's taking some of my opportunities away. When I haven't been challenged on a lot of these things for a while, and ESPN has just been giving me it.
Yeah, so let me step it up. And just last point I'll make on this, it is so inspiring to see, and it's like, I'm not saying that Rachel Nichols doesn't inspire probably young women to go do what she does on TV, because I'm sure she absolutely does, but when I think of how much Maria Taylor inspires me, like me as a person, Danielle Monique Williams, it's huge. Like, I can't even like put a grip on it. And one of my favorite sayings, like you said, just like worrying about yourself, one of my favorite sayings is worry about what's on your plate. You know what I mean? Like, eat the food that's on your plate. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing and eating with. And that's such a mantra that I feel like I really try to like live by, especially right now where I am still trying to get in all the way into this media industry. I could easily be a hater. I could easily hate on a lot of young black women who are getting their start with the SEC and the Big 12 and Bally Sports Southwest. You know, I could easily be that person, but it's like when I see someone putting on, when I see someone my age, one of my colleagues, I don't know the girl from Adam and Eve, other than the fact that we start following each other on social media and we start showing each other love just based off the fact that we are both young black in the industry. And she has a campaign with Nike. She's literally hosting Nike's Come Through show with and hosting people like Simone Augustus and singers and literally just different people coming on and talking about being a strong black woman, being a woman of color, things like that for Nike. Like, that's so big. And she's like, you're inspiring me. We're the same age, and you're still inspiring me. Like, that doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I feel like you have to be a real, true, pure hater at heart to see somebody else eating and be mad, be bitter, be upset. No, I see that, and I'm like, damn, I gotta get right. You know what I mean? I gotta step it up. I gotta do better. And so, I say that to say, just like you said, I feel like Rachel Nichols could have took Maria under her wing, and that just goes to show that kind of like the difference.
Yep. And
I hate to make it about race, but I do think it is about race at the end of the day, because I look at women like LaChana Robinson and Roz and even like Pam Oliver, like those older black women that are in the game that take women under their wing. I think about my conversations with LaChana Robinson. LaChana Robinson doesn't know me from Adam and Eve either.
Right.
But she still has had conversations with me and told me, like, you can do this. This is what you need to work on. This is what you need to do.
Right.
You look great on camera, but you need to work on your delivery. You need to work on your energy. Show your personality. You have a great personality. Show it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, just as women, as black women, like that feeling is indescribable. And being inspired by other black women is something that I'm like genuinely grateful for.
Right.
Because I like I said,
especially in your industry, because it didn't used to be that way.
Not at all. And like I said, I could be a natural born hater, but that's not me. You know what I'm saying? I show love, and I feel like you show love and it comes back tenfold. And so that's just who I am as a person. That's how I try to live my life in all aspects, not even just in what we're talking about right now. So Maria Taylor, if you ever hear this, I love you. You literally have been inspiring me since, like I said, I saw you covering our selection show, and now she is over at NBC.
Yep.
Covering the motherfucking Olympics. How else do you literally level up than going from ESPN, which obviously is ESPN, but like going from ESPN to covering the freaking Olympics
at NBC Sports?
At NBC, and I don't even want to. I mean, I do want to know, but I don't even want to know the type of bag she's getting now. Because the only reason she left ESPN is because they couldn't come to an agreement on a number.
Right.
She wanted to be paid Stephen A. Smith money. Is Maria Taylor not worth Stephen A. Smith money? What do you think?
I think now, today, no, but if Stephen A. Smith, if they were both 7 years in, yes. It's just Stephen A. Smith has been in the game forever.
Forever, I agree.
So naturally, she's not going to be, at least I don't think the way that it works, she'll get paid the same amount of tip because he's just had more skin in the game, more years, more bonuses, things like that. That's the only thing. It's just the years.
Right, but
she worth Stephen A. money at 7 years. Stephen A. at 7 years, yes.
I agree. And I don't even think Stephen A. Smith 7 years in the game was at where he is.
Oh yeah, he just started.
Yeah.
You know, like she doing this 7 years in. I think Stephen A. Smith, I would probably say over the last 3-4 years is I feel like when he's really like, you just hear, just hear him kind of being talked about all of the time. Yeah. And going viral all of the time and things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I just admire her so much. And like I said, she's moved over to NBC covering the Olympics, and beautifully done. Love that for her. What do you think about the Olympics this year? Of course, it was postponed due to COVID. And there have been athletes who have been like getting COVID and kind of been sent home and not been able to compete and things like that. Right. So just like overall Olympic coverage, what do you have to say?
As far as just the Olympics in general, it's definitely an odd time. I think previously I've always been so excited for the Olympics, and I don't feel that this year for whatever reason. I don't know if it's like a COVID thing or something like that, but I'm just not as excited as I was once before. It's a little bit different, I would say, in a sense. I'm still gonna tune in and watch, some events, because I still, even though Sha'Carri Richardson won't be running, but all the other events, track has always been just so fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Swimming has always been so fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Not rugby, but what is that? Not water polo. Handball. Yeah. Handball is another.
I've heard it's insane. I haven't seen it, but I have heard that is like crazy to watch.
Yeah. So I'm excited to watch handball and things like that. And so not much has happened so far. It just kind of started last night. Men's basketball team lost, but we're not going to really go into that as we get ready to wrap up. Right. But overall, I will tune in. Just not as excited. I don't have that same type of excitement that I've had.
I kind of agree. And I remember the team, oh my God, I must have been like 6th or 7th grade. The team Kobe, like it was the 2008 Olympics with Kobe and Bron and Melo. Oh my gosh, that year. I mean, I was still like a young basketball fan, but I remember like being glued to the TV that year. That was obviously Michael Phelps was there that year.
Yeah,
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the year maybe Gabby Douglas and all the gymnasts performed. Michaela, and I know Simone Biles was a little bit after that, but yeah, I will say, like, I used to really like be glued to the TV with the Olympics, and now it's like I am like still excited because it's cool, but like I'm not like checking my phone like, oh my god, let me set an alarm because this game's about to come on at this time and I'm gonna be asleep. But yeah, overall, definitely excited. Love watching gymnastics because I can't even do a cartwheel. So like watching them do all that stuff is so cool to me. Swimming, like you said, water polo is so impressive. Just treading water for an hour at a time is insane. Basketball, disappointed that they just lost to France, but we're not going to get into it. Women's basketball, they haven't played yet. 3-on-3, they have played.
That's been fun.
Yeah, and they won their first 2 games, which is really good. Yeah, and I know that some of the new events, skateboarding, BMX, biking. Yeah, there's so many crazy events now. So yeah, I think overall, like Olympics, I'm like you said, I'm excited, but I'm not like super committed, glued to the TV like I used to be. But yeah. Okay.
So there you guys have it. Let us know, right? Comments. Are you going to be tuning into the Olympics? We covered various topics today, right? We talked about the NBA Finals. Some of you, half the country is probably super happy. The other half is probably like, what the hell?
Salty.
Whatever. Yeah. So covered NBA Finals. We talked about, Maria Taylor and all the things that she's done, her riffraff with Rachel Nichols and the things that happened over at ESPN. And then obviously the Olympics are coming up. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I did want to make one plug. If you follow our Instagram, Twitters, and things like that, you probably already saw, but I was featured in Shout Out Atlanta, talking about Rate My College Coaches. So
yeah, girl.
I definitely wanted to just reiterate that, right, for those of you that are watching, current former student athletes. Rate My College Coaches as you go through your recruiting process. And if you've already been through the process, already played, definitely pay it forward. Leave an anonymous rating, unbiased, right, about your experience so that you can pay it forward to the next prospective student athlete. So
hold on. Before she moves on, I just want y'all to know that will be the biggest database for prospective student athletes going into college. And I just wanted to say that it's a fact.
But shit show. But yeah, thanks, D. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. We gonna keep going with this, especially we might have a little quiet period as far as sports. I feel like we have the Olympics,
right?
But as far as like United States sports that's going on, it's really just gonna be a lot of trade rumor talk. Yeah. NFL is getting ready to start back up, and then college basketball, college football, all that will be coming real soon. So we'll try to make our episodes a little interesting over this little quiet period.
And we will also have more exciting content, not just podcasts, even though I know y'all love our podcast, but we'll have more exciting content, TikToks, videos. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. That's all I'm going to say is stay tuned.
Okay. All right. With that, we going to peace out.
Peace.